Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Good night and good luck.
Hey, everybody. The elephant in the room this week is decline. What you saw at the State of the Union was not only a man in decline, but a political movement as well. Donald Trump is a man in decline. You could see it physically. You could hear it in the cadences of the speech.
Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, the towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us.
You could detect it in the way that the structure of the entire thing relied on cutaways to other people who were more heroic or more likable or more intriguing or more relatable than Donald Trump. Every single, beat in the speech was trying to get back to, and here's the firefighter, and here's the helicopter pilot, and here's the hockey player.
Here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight.
Because he wanted that associative property.
I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday.
But I'm going to tell you something. There were some other giveaways of decline, of the end of the MAGA movement, of its slow, terrible collapse that you could see in this speech and you could see in the room. Those guys standing up to clap like trained seals. Those were the saddest sack, most unhappy guys you've ever seen. Now, look, a few of them were doing the fake orgasm of Donald Trumpism.
It was amazing. It really was. Home run. Really a grand slam. America loves you, Loss. Thank you. It was amazing. America loves you. Oh, look at this guy. I like that tie. I want that tie. Give me that tie. Thank you. Hey, take that. Put your John. Initial. Just an initial. Thank you, Bob. I like that tie.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I love him so much. Sign my tie, Mr. President. Okay. Write it there, Troy. But it was rote. It was automatic. It was performative. It was pro forma. Hey, I know that none of you guys watch porn. I certainly don't. Just in case you have any friends that do, let me pass along a little important PSA for you. Incognito mode, not so much. Check the fine print. So if your late night activities are still 100% visible to a lot of third parties, how about you use ExpressVPN instead? Without ExpressVPN, third parties, and God knows who they are, can see every website you visit, even in incognito mode. The admin of your Wi-Fi network at your school or your office, your boss, your parents, the IT guy, ExpressVPN routes 100% of your traffic through secure, encrypted servers, so third parties can't see your browsing history. Why ExpressVPN? The plan started at $3.49 a month. That's 12 cents a day. Hiding your IP address makes it much more difficult for third parties to track your identity online. They've also got an optional dedicated IP service that's engineered for what they call a zero-knowledge design. That means not even ExpressVPN can trace back or see what you're doing online. Some ExpressVPN plans include Identity Defender. It's a new suite of tools that gets your data removed from data brokers if you were doing things online that got tracked, and it alerts you when your data appears on the dark web. They can even insure you up to $1 million of data theft. There's a reason why so many people use ExpressVPN and why it's rated #1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. In this day and age, you want to be secure online. You don't want the government reading your emails. You don't want these giant data brokers looking at your browser history. You want to protect yourself, and ExpressVPN can help you do that. My data should be my data. What I do on the internet should be what I do on the internet. The people I email with and communicate with should be private. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Lincoln Project. That's expressvpn.com/Lincoln Project to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/Lincoln Project. expressvpn.com/Lincoln Project. There's an old rule somebody told me one time about dictatorships. Don't be the first guy to stop clapping when Saddam is speaking. You could say that for Kim Jong-un. You could say that for Putin. You could say that for any other dictator around the world for generations, for decades, for thousands of years. Don't be the first guy in the room to stop clapping was what was in play that night. They understand where they are. They understand they've had a decade to run hard over America. They had a decade. They had an entire decade where the incentive system in their world was to worship Trump, to be cruel, to be conspiratorial, to be the loudest voice in the room, to punch down to the weak, the suffering, the poor. These are not traditionally conservative values, just so we're clear on that. I know some of you on the left will think like, oh, they're always heartless bastards. Those values that they have embraced under Trump, I will argue to my dying day, are a perversion of any human value. No matter what your faith or your political inclination or your ideological inclinations, the behavior they got to engage in for a decade without consequence is coming to an end. They know it. They feel it. They sense it. Mike Johnson, on an interview with Newsmax, said, oh, if we don't keep the majority in the House, then Donald Trump's presidency is over.
He needs all 4 years, not just 2, to fix the mess. And that's what we need. If we lost the midterms, heaven forbid, if we lost the majority in the House, it would be the end of the Trump presidency in a real effect. So we've got to keep this going, and I think we're excited to put our candidates on the field to explain all this to the people.
Yes, Mike, you got it. You figured it out. It is over. Yes, they can still do tremendous damage. Yes, the movement underneath it, the billionaire Peter Thiel weirdos and the Wall Street private equity assholes, they will continue. They will funnel money. They will try to pick a new Trump. They will do all the things to try to push it on. If we don't all do our work properly, they may succeed. But the iteration of Trumpism that stormed into the American consciousness in 2015, look at that speech this week, guys. It was weak. It was the product of people who yelled and screamed at him and said, if you don't stay on the teleprompter tonight, they'll take the House majority and they'll impeach you. That's not a man moving from confidence or bravado or swagger or strength. That's a man afraid of being impeached again.
I would have to imagine that guardrails would be an understatement of what would happen should you lose the House or the Senate. There's been talk of impeachment. You've been through this before.
Yeah.
You've been through it multiple times.
I'm a professional.
What will happen? What will happen if Democrats take the House or the Senate?
They'll probably try and impeach me. They'll say he went to Iowa and he spoke unfairly to people and he's not supposed to do that. Let's impeach him, okay? And the people in Iowa would say, how did he get impeached? He just did an interview with Will, who has very good ratings, okay? But they just did an interview with Will. Now, they'll find something. There'll be something, I made the wrong turn at an exit and let's impeach him. No, they did that before. They impeached me on a perfect phone call. Turned out they impeached me twice. And by the way, I won the impeachments very easily and quickly. But they impeach. They're very nasty people. You know, they have bad policy.
I got to tell you, I am wildly pro-impeachment these days. But not with Trump. Oh, we should get to him. Most certainly, we should get to him. But I want that smug, grinning, harpy, ghoul hybrid Pam Bondi impeached. I want Todd Blanche impeached. I want Kash Patel impeached. I want people impeached and removed from office. And if we can't get them removed from office, I still want them impeached. I still want the stain to be on them because they have earned it. They deserve it. They have created a world of illegality, of corruption, of venality, of sin, of chaos, of degeneracy, of corruption, of filth that has earned them the censure of the people who represent the American public and Congress. And it really struck me last night as a really stark reminder. The people on the floor, on the Republican side, they do not think of themselves as representatives of their states. And this was the actual fundamental flaw that eventually has killed the MAGA movement, the cancer that is essentially a self-defeating element of MAGA. Every single one of them decided a long time ago that they didn't work for the 4th District of Florida or the 17th District of Georgia or wherever, whatever it was. They didn't represent the people of their state or their district or their city or their people at all. They didn't believe in any of it. They abandoned their counties, their cities, their states, their districts. They abandoned them. Because if you say to them, if you vote for this, it will hurt your district, but it will make Donald Trump happy, they will vote to make Donald Trump happy 100 times out of 100. If you tell a Republican, Donald Trump will endorse somebody else against you in the primary, if you vote this way, you're going to vote with Donald Trump every time, if you're a Republican. It has become the party of chicken shit, low rent, cowardly half men. I watched these people last night who are in the swing districts standing up, clapping for tariffs, for the big bad bill that has killed the hospitals in their rural districts, for the idea that the bullshit no tax on tips is the equivalent of saving people money when their health insurance is tripled, when their student loans are now run by private equity companies and they're getting hammered, when private equity firms are destroying more jobs in this country than any Mexican ever did by orders of magnitude, than any immigrant ever did. Like most Americans, we love our dogs. And there's a real question about your dog's quality of life. And you have to ask yourself if what you're feeding your dog is created to maximize that quality of life. Let me talk to you about Sundays. Sundays was founded by a veterinarian and a mom, Dr. Tori Waxman. She got tired of seeing all the so-called premium dog food lines in the store that were absolutely chock full of fillers and synthetics. So she designed Sundays, air-dried, real food, made in a human-grade kitchen, using the same ingredients and care you'd use to cook for yourself and your family. Our dogs are field dogs. They're bird dogs. And there used to be a time where we cooked for our dogs a lot, and we felt good about it. But I got to tell you, with Sundays, you can feel even better. Every bite of Sundays is made from real meat, real fruit, real vegetables. There's no kibble. Sundays is making an investment in the kind of food they're serving for your dog. You know, the best part about Sundays for your dogs is you just scoop it and serve it. No freezer, no thawing, no weird prep, and there's no mess. It's just a nutrient-dense, rich, clean food that fuels your dog's happiest and healthiest days. So you get more time to share with them together. Your dog's going to be your best friend for 10 or 12 or 15 years of your life, but you're going to be your dog's best friend for its entire life. That's why we believe in Sundays. It's an amazing food. It's great for your dogs. Ours love it. Make the switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/Lincoln50 and get 50% off your first order. Or you can use the code Lincoln50 at checkout. That's 50% off your first order at sundayfordogs.com/Lincoln50. sundayfordogs.com/Lincoln50. Or use code Lincoln50 at checkout. And you could see this funereal aspect to this. And look, they've become very good at playing for one audience, and that's him. How do you reach him? You go on Fox. You go on Twitter. You go on OAN. You go on Newsmax, and you say things about him that praise him.
Joining us now to discuss is Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Hi, Congressman. So how would you grade President Trump's performance during the State of the Union last night? And as a swing district member of the GOP, do you plan to embrace his messaging in the lead up to the midterms?
I think the president did very well. He highlighted the economic successes of his first year, especially focusing on the passage of the Working Families Tax Cut bill and the direct impact on the American people who are now in the process of filing their taxes. So there are a lot of positives that the president focused on. He also focused on key issues from healthcare to housing to energy. He highlighted a lot of the successes on foreign policy and really was able to show great American stories last night. I don't think anybody has used, the gallery as effectively as the president, bringing in, the USA men's hockey team, gold medal winning team, giving out 2 Medal of Honor, awards to 2 very deserving recipients. These were touching moments that I think did unify the American people.
Those Republicans cannot point to things in their home districts that Trump has done on infrastructure, on any of the fundamentals. If they were honest, they could point to the damage that's been done. The ones in rural districts could point to the damage that has been done to American farmers, or who've gotten absolutely screwed on the tariffs.
And you think he's going to bring back farming and farmers in rural Minnesota?
No, farmers are really hurting right now with the tariffs, the price of corn, the price of beans. They are losing money with every acre that they're planting. And that's one reason, well, with the beef will stay high because young farmers just can't get into, they can't afford to start farming anymore.
And you know people yourself who are in that situation, it sounds like.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What did those farm community Republicans do last night when Trump talked about tariffs? They stood up and they clapped like trained seals.
Tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Right?
The decay you're seeing, in some ways, is the inevitable cycle in every authoritarian system. The strong man is the strong man is the strong man is the strong man until he's not. And the people who derived their power from being proximate to the strong man, who said to people, don't cross me or I'll tell the boss, don't defy me or I'll rat you out. Those systems always have a great deal of enforcement mechanisms to make people loyal for a long time. They work well for a long time. They make people obey for a long time, but not forever. And the survival instinct of these people last night, in a few, played out not because they wouldn't stand up and clap. It played out because you could see the lines in their faces. You could see the deadness in their eyes. And not just in the electeds. You saw those cabinet members sitting there last night, except for that grinning hell fiend, Pam Bondi, who was grinning like a fool when Trump was like talking about the Dow being over 50,000. She was sitting there thinking, ha ha, ha ha, and she was smiling.
Where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years.
She was smiling. The smugness of the evil that is Pam Bondi brings me back to the subject of impeachments and of investigations. I want to tell my Democratic friends something about this decay and this decline. Only one thing can stop it when you take power. There's only one thing that can stop this decay and this decline of the Republican MAGA caucus when you take the House back in the fall. It's you. As always, I'm going to get lectured by progressives who, Rick Wilson's a former Republican. What the fuck does he know? I know something about power that you do not, quite evidently. If you allow them to continue, once you have power, if you think you're going to win over the Americans because you've got a focus group plan on prescription drug coverage, while they plot and scheme, unless you root them out from the ground, unless you tear them out root and branch, and salt the fucking earth behind them, and destroy their ability to continue to play the roles they have played in the destruction of our country, our Constitution, our rule of law, our society, they will continue. And they have something you Democrats do not have. They have a persistent desire to retain power no matter what. Now look, you want to retain power to do good things, to help people. That is meritorious. That is lovely. And I wish we lived in a world where the fight was about who's going to do better for people. But it isn't. They are a party in decline with a mad king at the helm. And if you let Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Kash Patel and RFK and Howard Nutlick and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski and on and on and on, if you let them spend 1 minute from January 1st of next year until the end thinking that they've got a day off, thinking that they have a moment where they're not going to be having every aspect of their lives investigated, having every aspect of their professional conduct investigated, being put under a spotlight every minute of every day, you will allow them to continue to do their work in the shadows. I don't want Pam Bondi to get a night of sleep. I want committees hauling her in before them every fucking day. Now, I know there are going to be your consultants and your pollsters. God bless you, Democrats. Your consultants and pollsters are going to be like, well, we've got to do a gun control bill and a climate change bill and this. Fuck you. Do not. Pay attention for once. Pay attention for one fucking time. In 2021, you got so mad at me because I said Trump was going to come back. You know why you got mad at me? Because you wanted to do a prescription drug bill. You wanted to do infrastructure. You wanted to do all these good things, these meritorious things. And yet, it's like saying, I'm going to cook a delicious dinner while the rabid wolves are in the house. And the rabid wolves of Trumpism, the people who will stop the decay unless you punish them, unless you investigate them, unless you make it poisonous for donors to donate money to the Republican causes and candidates in the next election cycle, they will come back. You know, there's a sort of phrase on the right, decline is a choice. And it is. They chose the things that are causing the decline of their party. They chose the things that have caused the decline of their ability to get reelected. They chose the things that have poisoned what was conservatism and is now rampant, rabid, weirdo Trumpism. They chose those things. They made explicable trade-offs. They said, he has power to veto our electability. We will choose to obey him. He has power to make me money. They chose to obey him. He has power to pardon my crimes. They chose to obey him. He has power to make my life miserable on social media. They chose to obey him. All of them chose that because Trump, for a long time, was a protean force in our politics. He was the immovable object. But he is weaker now.
I had to win it. I needed it for my own ego. I would have had a bad ego for the rest of my life. Scriptures always tell us that blessed are the pure in heart. I don't know if that applies to me necessarily. I'm not so sure.
Donald Trump rambling, perhaps disinhibited, discussing that he doesn't have a good heart by his own admission there. I'm back with White House vet Ty Cobb. That raises, again, a recurring issue that you and others have spoken out about, that foreign allies have discussed, whether he is operating in a way that gives confidence and credibility to the United States or not.
It's all part of his cognitive decline. I mean, there's so many physicians and psychiatrists around the country and certainly around the world now have, commented on the frontal lobe issues that he has, the way that his dementia has aggravated his narcissistic personality disorder, which, a sixth grader could diagnose if they had the DSM-5 in front of them.
And a lot of Democrats who have been thinking you get to return to the cozy, warm bath of policy need to understand that decline on his part, that decay on his part, that rancid stench of failure and that collapse of his party can be saved only by the Democrats. Watching him struggle last night, toward the end especially, the slurring, on the prompter, hyper-focus on the prompter, we don't know when he will go. We don't know what the day is going to be, which is the other reason you can't rely on the other side to reform itself. Look, I'm a believer that we need 2 functioning political parties in America, maybe more. Fine with me at this point. But it is a mistake to believe that if you take back power, you will be politically victorious in the end by providing 700-page policy books. Because that's not what motivates people. You have to do the thing, Democrats, the hard thing. You have to put people in jail. You have to ruin their lives. And I know that Washington culture doesn't like to do that. Even now, even when Trump sent people to murder you, even now, you don't think, well, my honorable friend across the aisle would never be like that. Listen, if Donald Trump told the average member of Congress to take a gun and shoot you in the head, he would do it. Have you noticed they have no bottom? You see any of those members last night look over at the Epstein victims in the audience? Not one. Hear any acknowledgement of it? Nope. You've seen any Republicans stand up and say it was wrong for ICE to murder Renee Good and Alex Preddy? They understand power. They may not be smart people. Some of them are more clever than you give them credit for. They may not be smart people, but they are crafty. They're sly. They are clever. They love power. Right now, they feel it slipping away, and they're going to be so dedicated to preventing that. I don't think there's a lot they can do to stop the wave that's coming this fall. But I'm also a great student of the fact that political fortunes change. And I think the frequency and the amplitude of political changes in this country is increasing for a ton of reasons. And that the fact that we lived in a decade of largely static behavior on the part of Trump's party has convinced the Democrats and the media that what is now will always be. There will never be a change. It will never alter. The situation will never truly swing back. I know what you want to do. I get it. I don't blame you. You want to do healthcare. I know you do. You think it's the good thing to do and it will help people and people will be grateful to you. Last night, Donald Trump looked at the Democrats and said, oh, you gave healthcare away. You gave it to the big hospital companies and all the, sounding like he was Bernie Sanders.
I'm also confronting one of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care caused by you. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance companies have gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year, as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great health care plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people.
Why do you do that? Because the things you think write history in the hearts of the American people are not what write history in the hearts of the American people. It's branding. It's image, it's narrative, it's message, it's sales, it's fables, it's the establishment of a story. Some very smart people around the Affordable Care Act, when it was still called Obamacare, noticed down in South Florida, Cubans were like, I hate Obamacare. Obamacare, soy comunista. I will never do Obamacare. But when they changed it to American Affordable Care Act, you know where the highest uptake of ACA Obamacare plans is in the whole country? In the most conservative county, in Dade County, Florida, the white-hot center of Cuban-American conservatism. That's because they understood branding. The bad guys understand branding much better than Democrats do. The decay they sense falling apart around them, this causing everything around them to fall apart. The decay, the decline that they feel, the rot of Trump, the horrible stench, literally and metaphorically, of Trump. They don't look at it yet as the end. They do not feel sufficiently afraid yet. And you should make them afraid. You should make sure they feel afraid. That starts with Trump's cabinet and his officials. There needs to be a plan from oversight that isn't trivial, isn't one and done, isn't we're going to do one hearing on this and 47 hearings on Medicare price support bullshit. All the things that Republicans are better than Democrats at, which I just told you about, the storytelling, the narrative, the spectacle. You have to take those in hand now. You are not legislators come January of next year. You are storytellers. You are the crafters of a legend, of a fable, of a narrative, of a history. And the history that you have to create is easy because it's true. You are fighting people who are corrupt. You are investigating people who are evil. You are pursuing people who are protecting pedophiles. You're going after the things that have caused America's decline. You're going after the men, largely men, a few women in the mix, who have caused America's educational system to collapse, who have caused our healthcare system to collapse, who have caused our financial system to reward only the worst and the richest. You have to become heroes, not just for one day. You have to do it all the time. And for my former Republican friends who are increasingly sensing the wind, heard from somebody over the weekend who said to me, well, after primary season's over, you're going to see a lot of these guys come out and they're going to really take a stand against Trump. Are they? The mechanisms of the Republican electoral class, the consulted class, are very well honed. They understand elections much better than the Democrats do. Heart, gut, not head. They're going to go out. They're going to do the things again, guys. They're going to go out and do the trans things, the Somali fraud things. They're going to do all the song and dance in the show. And yeah, you know what? It'll be less effective than it used to be. But they will consolidate enough of their base, if we are not doing our work properly, to try to turn a wave into just a win. Because if we walk out the door on election night with 7 seats in the House, did we win? Yeah, sure. Did we win? No. They'll tell a new story. Oh, even as bad as things were, as bad as we were, as evil as Trump is, the Democrats still couldn't put it together. You must be avenging angels for the people of this country now. The decay and the decline of the Republican Party is because they accepted and embraced Trump at every level, at everything, all the time. But if Democrats embrace the weakness that is in their hearts, far too often, their own form of decline will continue as well. There are people I saw after Abigail Spanberger's quite excellent rebuttal. By the way, it's a thankless job. You never want to be that guy that does the rebuttal. There were people I saw on the left criticizing her for not being sufficiently progressive, not talking enough about whatever fantasy land is in their head. Talked about affordability, talked about economics, talked about people.
Tonight, as we watched our nation's lawmakers gather for a joint session of Congress, we did not hear the truth from our president. So let's speak plainly and honestly. And let me ask you, the American people watching at home, 3 questions. Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? Is the president working to keep Americans safe both at home and abroad? Is the president working for you?
Meeting them where they are, as we like to say. And where they are is they are suffering economically. They're fucking terrified economically. And Trump has done nothing to fix that. The decline of his fortunes is directly related to the dichotomy and the cognitive dissonance between the perception that Trump was brilliant at business and economics, and the reality that is he is the single worst economic president in our lifetimes. I mean, more damage maybe was done to the economy by Hoover, but it's a long time ago, and nobody in our politics today remembers Hoover. The decline is real. MAGA is dying. It is a terminal disease. Its name is Donald Trump. The mark on the back of Trump's hand, to me, has become kind of emblematic of the whole thing. The rot is right in front of them. The mortality of Trump and his movement is right in front of them. Their decline is marked, present, constant. It's got a smell all its own, as does Trump, from all the reporting we have. And we must do everything we can as people who care about this country to accelerate it and to punish the people that are right now in it. Politically punish those Republican elected officials, because pain is the only teacher. You won't get a second Republican revolution. You won't get a reboot of the party unless the political consequences of being a Trumper are so poisonous that no rational person would do it. You got to punish the people inside the administration who are engaged in acts of overt corruption and evil. Are you kidding me? We don't have Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff hearings minute 1, hour 1 when we take over power in January? Because we better, because those guys are selling off America for pennies on the dollar. Kristi Noem, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche. I can go on and on and on and on and on. And there are some Democrats who've said to me, oh, well, they're just going to refuse to testify. Okay, great. Let them do it. First off, contempt. Second off, the leadership at that point has to work out a way to freeze their budgets. Nope, FBI, you don't have jets anymore. No, Pam Bondi, you stay at the fucking Marriott, not at the Four Seasons. No, You don't get 24/7 security on a military base, Christy Nome. You're out. Stephen Miller, you're out. The power of the purse is an enormous power. But I'm begging my Democratic friends, use your power to reform this decay, to punish this decay, this rot, this decline, this corruption. It's right in front of you. It's the most meritorious fight you can have right now. A corrupt nation cannot stand. You know, there's a Soviet historian, he's a French historian, but wrote about the Soviet Union named Basil Kerblet back in the 70s and 80s. He wrote a book that I read when I was in Soviet studies guy in college. It's called The Corrupt Society, USSR, The Corrupt Society. And he was absolutely right. USSR was wildly corrupt. So, of course, it collapsed as communism petered out. Putin's society is wildly corrupt. And, of course, it's going to collapse. It's an evil system. It's going to collapse. Trump has tried to recapitulate that sort of kleptocratic system. His allies, his followers, his government have tried to recapitulate that system here in America. And it's just insane to think we won't punish that. If we don't, they'll continue. Folks, decline and decay are the elephant in the room, not only in their presence in the MAGA party and in Donald Trump, but in our obligation to stop them. Thanks, everybody. Hey, listen, you can catch me on the Lincoln Project podcast. You can catch me on Tuesday nights with Lincoln Square for the strategy session, on the Thursday nights with the breakdown, on Fridays with Behind the Numbers with Andrew Wilson. We do talk about polling every week. More people are watching that show every week. It's kind of freaking us out a little bit because we thought we just have a nerdy streaming session every week about polling, and it's gotten to be something people are really tuning into. So give it a shot. You can also find me on my Substack, Against All Enemies, and you can catch me at the Lincoln Project. See you soon, folks. Thanks.
Good night and good luck.